The biggest difference is definitely public transportation because here I feel like only big cities have really good public transportation system, whereas at home you would go anywhere with using public transportation, buses, trains. Um, that's kind of hard to get used to, especially when you're an international student and you don't have your own car to get around with. So that's the biggest issue I found when traveling.
The one primary difference I would like to highlight is that back in my country, as a student, your primary job would be to study and nothing else. But as a student in this country, I think it's wonderful that you're exposed to more activities than 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 the ones in back home for me. You work as well as study here. You have the opportunities. Like I had the opportunity of working on campus for the IT department, and there were options that give you the learning experience that was not possible for me in my country, other than the education, the primary studies.
Big difference. The first major thing is family. Um, I'm one of six. I'm one of six kids, and we all live in America with my mom and dad. But we have no other relatives in America, besides maybe a cousin in Michigan or something. But all my family are in Jordan. They're all back in my country. So you go there and you have such a big sense of family. Um, they come over whenever, you go over whenever. There's really no like, oh hey, can I come over? Everybody just kind of comes. Um, but here you feel a little more isolated. It's just you, your siblings, and maybe a few friends that you've made a couple of the way, but you're definitely a lot lonely. I feel like my family feels a lot lonelier and secluded than back home. Another difference is even though your family is all over there, here I feel like you have a little bit more freedom. There's the culture there, like kind of restricts activities that people can do. I honestly think if I was in Jordan, I wouldn't probably be in college. But here, it's pushed so much that it's easier to get an education, at least in my family. So I mean, there's definitely there's good and there's bad, but all in all, I think a sense of family is bigger in my country, but a sense of independence is more here in America. And I think growing up, my parents have always been like, you're in America, if you get the opportunities, go to college. I was involved, became president of the Muslim Student Association here on campus, and you don't even need a Muslim Student Association in Jordan. Everybody's Muslim, right? So you're definitely you're able to become more of a leader, I think, here in America.
Differences in area of education is that the education level over here in the United States is much more higher than the level of education in Egypt, and it doesn't matter whether it's a public or a private school over here in the United States. It's always a degree that you can learn from, and you do learn a lot when you graduate. Unlike in Egypt, some schools are not up to that good level of education where you just graduate to get a certificate and you actually don't know anything about whatever you studied in school and in university. Um, I would say on another point, it really also makes a difference, and it's known worldwide. If you have a degree from the United States, or if you have a degree from another country, a lot of a lot of other places, and not just in the United States, and other countries as well. Back in my country, if I come back to Egypt with a degree from the United States, I have the priority to find a job. Unlike somebody that has graduated from a university in Egypt, they don't have that good of a chance as I do. So I would say it's better. It's pretty much better in the United States than Egypt.
The difference is so huge. First of all, cultural differences. Um, I come from somehow of a conservative society. Here, the society is very liberal, I would say, and uh, the society that I come from, we are very homogeneous. People, most of us are of the same race, but here it's a mixture of everything. So sometimes they don't have a particular culture, or everything is really different. So there have been a lot of things that I've had to learn, and it has helped me to become more open-minded, I would say, because I didn't have that exposure before coming here. The way of thinking and everything in my country was almost the same, but here you realize there are different, there can be different perspective to everything.
Well, my country and the USA, I would say there's a lot of difference. There is a lot of difference. You know, you want to start with let's say the fluidity between in the systems. For example, I mean, I see kids doing an undergrad course and they're saying they're doing a major in, let's say, engineering, and you're doing a minor in French. You know, from where I come from, if I'm going to do engineering, I'm doing engineering. If I'm doing petroleum, because I did petroleum engineering in my bachelor's, I'm doing petroleum engineering. I think I really, really like that because from what I understood, because I spoke with the kid, he said a major is something you really want to do. A minor is something that you probably have interest in. For someone like me, I have interest in art. You know, I like sculpture and all the rest, but I'm an engineer. So it's going to be like something you're doing passively. So I really like that. You know, that's what I really like about, you know, the difference in my country and.
In my home country, there's a lot of dust. The weather is kind of hot, so I used to get a lot of allergies. But when I came here, it all went, and it's better for me. So that's a plus side. The worst side, I come from a place that is really hot, and here is very, very cold. I hate the cold. Every time I go out and it's freezing, I just want to go back in my house, shut the door, and stay there. Because I hate to go out in cold weather. And in these 2 years that I've been here, the weather was like dramatic, like really, really cold. Like even it was like record changing. Like they experienced some record weathers while I was here, which is very cold, which is I don't like it really, and I hate the snow because every time you go out in Saudi Arabia, I don't believe I ever seen snow there. So when I come here, you have to worry about shoveling the snow out of your car when you get your car, and so if you don't plan ahead by time, you will waste like 1 hour just shoveling the snow to get your car out, and that's a headache. And I hate it. And they applied this new law about cars that you can't even leave the snow or ice above your car. So if you walk now in Connecticut and you just leave a little bit of ice and say, "Oh, leave it there. When I walk, it will fall down," you'll get a ticket, which the minimum of $75, which you don't want to get. So. That's a lot of work.
The biggest difference is the relationship between professors. In Turkey, I don't want to say professors are arrogant, but I mean, they feel themselves as higher than someone else in the society because they are educated and they have some intelligence. But here, yes, I mean, you can be a cab driver, you can be a professor, you can be anything. And then people, I mean, evaluate you in the society with your personality, with your characteristics, not based on your job and maybe your salary. But in Turkey, it's based on your salary and your social status. I mean, if you're a professor, you can say, "I'm a professor," like this. So, and then their attitudes towards students is totally different than here. I can send an email to a professor here, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And if he is awake, he can respond immediately. But in Turkey, oh my God, we don't have opportunity to send emails to professors because most of the professors' email we don't have. They don't give their phone numbers, they don't give their emails. They just came to class, and sometimes they didn't come on time, and no one can say anything to them. And sometimes they didn't come, and they didn't let us know. So, but here, professors say, "Okay, I'm gonna be 15 minutes late," or just, "Guys, I can't do the class on Wednesday, so when you are free," he's voting in the class. And in terms of homeworks and exams, most of the time my professors here ask the class, "Okay, we are in Democrat country, and okay, let's vote. You wanna take home exam, class exam, doing 2 projects, 3 projects. I mean, so we can have a lot of selection here. But in Turkey, you say, okay, 2 exams. I don't care your homeworks. I don't care your attendance. And the exams are really harder than here. They ask some questions they didn't show in the class. We don't know how to solve it. And when they see our low results, they became happy, I think, in my opinion. But here, I mean, if the professor understands that, okay, you know the stuff, and you made some mistakes, he said, okay, I will cut 5 points from you so that the rest is fine. So here, the professors are more positive than Turkish professors. And second, of course, we use computers in Turkey, but not as much as US. And education system, I mean, grading system is mostly based on 2 exams, midterm and final, 90% maybe. But here, maybe it's 30% or 40% as a total. You have to do homeworks, you have to come to class each day. You have to also make comments in the classroom, which is better than Turkey, in my opinion.